Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the #1 sports podcast, broadcasting Sundays at 9 a.m.-ish in Sacramento, California. Sports Talk 916. Now here are your hosts, Greg Bowl and Coach Greg Barroso.
I guess I'm supposed to start. Well, hello. And first off, we're having some technical difficulties. So if you're on there, let us know what you hear. If it sounds normal, because it doesn't sound normal on this end. It's pretty bad. Anyway, it's Sunday. It's 9 o'clock-ish. Actually, it is pretty close to 9 o'clock.
9:04.
Okay, we're ish.
There's no buzz. We're good.
Okay, good. And you are listening to episode number 261 of this little shindig that we call Sports Talk 916. I'm Coach Greg. You see my hand. I don't know if you see anything else, but you see my hand. Oh, there you go. And right there's Mr. Chief, Greg Bowl, the world's toughest sports talk radio show host in Sacramento that starts at 9 o'clock-ish.
That's right.
On Sunday. And, yeah, we're back on the air. It's been a weird week, but we're back and ready to go. And there's a lot of shit to talk about today, too.
There's a lot to talk about.
I got
to turn my mic on in order to talk about it.
Do you ever watch Mike and Golick and We Go?
No.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional. They do it all the time. There's a story. I don't know. Did you hear the Cleveland Browns story from this morning?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. That was great.
We will get to that. But first, Greg mentioned World's Toughest Mudder. I did just get back from that last week. That's why we didn't have a show. It was insane. I'll get into my story and my rendition of what went on. But first, in a moment, we're going to be joined by Erin Rost. She took second place at World's Toughest Mudder. And it turns out that she actually grew up here in Sacramento. So we're going to have her on the phone here on the newly appointed Mortgage King guest line is what we're going to start going with.
Wow, I like that.
We're going to start going with that for Mr. Albert Chavez. And here she is.
How many rings do you have?
I have like 4 rings apparently. All right, we are now joined by Erin Rost. If you were at World's Toughest Mudder, you knew her as the unknown racer.
Racer X?
Yeah, Racer X pretty much. She's now known. She took second place at World's Toughest Mudder with the silver bib, 75 miles. Erin, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, congratulations on your 75 miles and your second place finish at World's Toughest Mudder. Quite the accomplishment given everything that we faced on that course and the elements and just everything that was so non-Atlanta for November this time of year. So big congratulations from us. I only got 25 miles. So for the fact that you tripled that and we're up there with the likes of past champions is pretty phenomenal.
Hey, 25 miles on that course is just as impressive. That was a brutal course with brutal conditions.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, you were the dubious unknown racer. The announcer couldn't get your name right after asking probably a good, 50 times probably. Everyone just kind of saw you climbing the leaderboard.
How do you get her name wrong?
Everyone thought it was Roast. Everyone kept saying Roast.
How do you get her?
Some people said Roost too.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, before you get into this, and I'm sorry, my name is Greg too. We're both Gregs.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Give us a little bit of your history, how you got started and how you got going in it, and that you're from Sacramento and where you grew up, and then that way our listeners kind of have an idea who you are, and then Greg can get back into his question.
Yeah. So I actually grew up in Sacramento. I'm originally from Fairfield, but we moved to Sacramento, and I went to St. Francis High School. After high school, I went to the Air Force Academy, and I'm now stationed in Boston. I'm in the Air Force. I got into obstacle course racing about 2 years ago. I got serious about it this year. I don't know anyone who's ever done obstacle course racing and liked it. It's definitely addicting. It's fun to train for, and it's fun to actually do. And the Tough Mudder and like Spartan community and the obstacle course racing community in general is just like the most supportive, uplifting, encouraging community you'll ever be a part of. So I kind of got hooked on it 2 years ago. And this year, my whole goal was to do World's Toughest Mudder because it just seemed like the hardest race I could do. And I figured if I can do this race, then I can do any race. And yeah, it just worked out really well for me.
Well, Greg's all involved in Tough Mudders and those kind of obstacle races. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I think y'all are crazy. So I have the utmost respect. I don't have respect for him, but somebody who can do that and just after 2 years, you're amazing. So
anybody who does who went out for this World's Toughest, I'm so amazed.
Yeah, I just don't want to tell. I just don't want to tell him that. That's all.
Okay.
So let me get to, like, as I mentioned, you kind of jumped on the scene almost last minute, I would assume. I'm sure you prepared tremendously for it, but what did your 2018 look like as far as other races, other brands you did, podium finishes, and what race qualified you for the contender status for World's Toughest Mudder? Because I can't imagine that you just on a whim were like, you know what, I'm going to sign up for World's Toughest and I'm just going to podium. So what kind of led up to this, race year end for you?
Yeah, so my whole goal, I started training about 10 months ago, and my whole goal was World's Toughest Mudder. So everything I did was geared towards this race. I did a couple Tough Mudders. I triple lapped one of them. I did 2 Spartan races and then several endurance races. I don't come from a big running background, so that's what I really had to focus on this year. So I spent a lot of time just doing long distance running. I did well in the Spartan world. The 2 Spartan races I did, my first 2, I came in first in my age group. And then this last one I did, I came in first in my age group and first overall for females, except for the elites.
Oh, right on. Nice.
That was my first experience on the podium, but I never podiumed for Tough Mudder. I did Toughest South in Texas, and that's where I qualified as a contender with 25 miles.
So speaking of brutal, like you mentioned Atlanta being brutal, I also did Toughest South, and that was kind of what prepared me, I guess, for the conditions, because that course was nasty. The mud and just
the week before, or the whole week before, so the whole course was just muddy and just more muddy than it normally is.
Yeah,
those conditions were brutal.
So you basically picked the two hardest, tougher and toughest course to possibly do leading up to this race. So kudos to you. How many miles did you get at Toughest South?
25.
So Erin,
that race, like you said, it was so tough. That race really opened my eyes to how kind of behind I was in training. It really kind of woke me up, and I started doing a lot more endurance races and really figured out my diet. Because anyone who's done the longer endurance races knows diet is super important. And I had a lot of stomach issues during that race, so I did a lot of research on what to eat during these races and what to eat before, and that really helped with this race as well.
Wow. So, by the way, I still think y'all are crazy. You said you didn't have an endurance running background. What is your sports background?
So I played soccer in high school and college. So I played soccer, but I was a goalie, so I didn't run a lot.
That's why I played soccer also. I found out I can play goalie, and I didn't have to run, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. And then I did bodybuilding in college too.
Okay.
And then started trying to do marathon running, but I found that I just didn't like only running. That's why I really liked obstacle racing, because you have to do everything. You have to lift, you have to run, it's just everything.
You have to get electroshock therapy.
Yeah, except for that. That's mental.
Yeah, that one was, we'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
So you wrote up a nice recap on your Instagram about the race and everything leading up to it. You mentioned that around your 11th lap, which would be the completion of lap or 55 miles to 60 miles, you came in and your boyfriend handed you a leader bib. You didn't know you were in third place. You just assumed that you were just going for your 75 after I think everybody wanted to quit during the night. What changed at that moment that you realized that you can to maintain your podium spot and then take a push for who you mentioned were 2 of your kind of inspirations in the sport with Allison Ty and Rhea Coble. walk us through that moment when you got handed that leader bib and what changed to get you up to that 75th mile.
And that's probably my favorite moment of that whole weekend. I came running up, and I was struggling during that lap. I got a little emotional, and I ran up, and my boyfriend was holding the leader bib up, and I literally stopped in the middle of the lane and just like jaw was open and just stared at it. There's a picture on my Instagram. They actually captured the moment, and I just like stared at the bib. I couldn't believe that it was for me because I didn't think I was in contention for anything. I kept asking my crew because I didn't see a lot of people out there. I know you were there in the middle of the night. There just like wasn't a lot of people out there, so I was like, I must be doing okay. And so, but I didn't know what place I was in. And then when I saw that, I mean, I knew what that meant. And I just like had this like shock moment. And my mom and my boyfriend had to like pull me in and say, Erin, like you have a chance for third. Fourth is really close behind. We make this pit fast, and you need to get back fast. And I just like chugged some Pedialyte, and then he gave me a salt tab, and I took off. And then my lap time started going down. It just like was the exactly what I needed in that moment. So I was kind of getting down on myself. It just kind of pushed me through those final 3 laps.
Greg, I don't know if you noticed what she just said, but she said after 60 miles on course, her lap time started going down, which is remarkable. So if I would have found you on Friday during pit load in, and I would have told you that you would have been on the podium with Allison and Rhea, what would you have said to me?
I was like, no way. Like that just never something I would have thought of. No way. It's just never even something that came to mind. I mean, I'm competitive and I like to challenge myself, but that's not even something that was in my, I don't know, just not even something on my radar. And it was an honor. I know not a lot of people know so much about the obstacle course racing community, but Rhea and Allie are kind of like legends, I guess, like on the female side. So being like up there with them, it was just, I mean, I'm still like in awe that I was there and I got to do that.
So just a technical question. You did 75 miles. Was it a 75-mile race, or did you just go for 24 hours and whoever got the farthest distance won? I'm sorry, I'm just, not.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like confusing, and I didn't really understand it either until, you're in it. So it's 5-mile laps.
Right.
And it's as many laps you can do in 24 hours. But you actually end up doing more than 5 miles per lap because there are penalties if you don't complete certain obstacles. So a lot of us towards the end probably were doing a lot longer than 5 miles per lap. And so I completed 15 laps.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a total of 70.
So how far behind first and second were you?
I actually haven't really looked at the data for that.
Oh, okay.
Some people have told me, and I've heard through like different people. I guess like at midnight I was like 10 miles behind first and second. And Rhea and Allie stopped at a certain point. And I think they thought they were first and second was locked in, and I just kept going because my goal was always to get 75 miles. And like I said, I didn't know I was in contention for anything.
Wow.
Until about 9:30 in the morning on that Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. So you basically had to start your final lap by noon, and you had to finish by 1:30. So, you kept going along. Allison and Rhea both felt they had it locked up, so they stopped a little bit earlier. And I believe you finished with 18 minutes to go before the final cutoff.
I finished at like 1:10.
It's crazy. So, so the course, obviously, we mentioned was super brutal. The temperatures dipped down to 27 overnight. Someone said that there wasn't water on course that was over, I think, 36 degrees for most of the entire event. And then they debuted 10 new obstacles for Tough Mudder. What was your favorite new obstacle that was on course, or what was your favorite obstacle on course, period?
I liked Twin Peaks. I thought that was a fun obstacle. It was creative. It kind of combines everything. You had to climb down a rope and then put your leg over and climb back up another rope. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's videos of it. And the other one I actually liked was the stacks. I don't really have a big fear of height. And I actually really liked that one. It kind of got my adrenaline going. It was fun.
Is that the one you didn't do?
Yeah, that's the one that I elected not to do.
It was like a 10.3 meter jump into water.
Yeah, it was
I thought it was
30. They said 35 feet. A lot of people said it was closer to like 38 to 40 feet. By the time I got to it in the morning, because I pulled myself off course around 10 p.m. just because I didn't think I had it in me to get through the entire night. And then we went out around 8. It was about 7:30. We started our final lap, and I got to that, and the way my legs and stuff were hurting, I was like, "There's no way." So I elected.
Getting up that obstacle was hard. So
Yeah, and then it was a lot quicker getting down, that's for sure. So I myself and my buddy actually elected to do the high voltage route instead on our final lap instead of doing stacks, and luckily made it through that unscathed. We made it through all 3 obstacles with no shock, and that was probably the best thing ever. So coming off World's Toughest Mudder, you took 2nd place. What is next for Erin in 2019, assuming that your active duty status with the Air Force doesn't hinder any future, races going forward for next year?
Yeah, so I was actually kind of getting a schedule together. It is difficult with my work schedule to plan events out too far in advance. A lot of times I just put all the races that are like close to me and then just train. And if I like have a free weekend, I do want to do World's Toughest again, and then I'd like to do like a Spartan Beast or one of the Spartan Ultras, just because I tend to do better in like these longer distance races. But where and when, I'm not sure yet.
All right. Well, and then you mentioned, a few people are talking about it, and I saw this floating around a little bit on social media, and I thought about it myself, is if in the future, to make sure that you don't become an unknown, if things progress, with your relationship status and boyfriend status or whatever, and you end up having a name change, let's follow the Lindsay Webster path and keep the name as it is. That way you don't become Unknown 2.0. Just use your racing name as the same and don't change it.
Yeah, I'll probably keep my racing name is Womazonian. It was actually named by my boyfriend because he said early in our relationship I was more like an Amazon woman. And then it just kind of turned into Womazonian. So I don't think that's going to change.
Right. So that's how you can find her on Instagram, is Womazonian. Any sponsor or any shout outs that you might be obligated to make before we end here today?
No, I don't have any sponsors, but I do want to give a shout out to my mom and dad who live in Sacramento, who I think are listening to this right now.
Oh, cool.
I love you guys. Yeah.
Sweet. And they were part of your pit crew as well, right?
My mom was. My dad couldn't make it out. But my mom was.
I actually found out through social media and stuff that Erin's dad was actually my cousin's ROTC teacher at Johnson when we were all in high school, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, I saw like the term Johnson. Like, that's crazy. My dad was an ROTC instructor there.
Yeah, I actually went to West Campus. So I was linked to Johnson. Like, both my parents went to Johnson in the 60s. Like, it's been around for forever in my family. So it was pretty cool to see that local tie. I thank you very much. You're out in Boston, so it's a little bit later in the day. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. And once again, congratulations on your 2nd place finish at World's Toughest Mudder.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of troubadours that are pretty proud of you right now too. So.
Oh yeah, St. Francis.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, and good job to you too. 25 miles is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, hopefully I'll make it out next year. Hopefully, and try to go for that brown bib now that I know what to expect. So that'll be my goal. 25 miles was my longest run to date by 12 miles. So now it's only upwards from here. So
hey, cool. Look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Pretty crazy. Pretty awesome that, just the idea of 75 miles.
Ladies and
apparently
gentlemen,
we're starting over. No. 75 miles on course for 24 hours. And
I'm sorry. That's just nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. They shut down probably 12 obstacles overnight because of the fact that everything was freezing. There was, for safety issues or safety reasons, I should say, they just couldn't have us on a lot of the stuff because it was literally freezing. Wow. And she mentioned Twin Peaks. And that was probably my favorite obstacle as well. You literally you went up a wall, down a rubber wall with a rope. They had water spraying on you the whole time. And there was a 4-foot gap in the middle that you had to stretch across, grab another rope, and go back up. Well, and at 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going down the other side of that. It's on the back side of the sun.
Oh, shit.
I didn't realize that all the mud on it was frozen. So all the steps were like rounded. I almost face planted on that damn thing. Oh. And it was a treat. But yeah, she, like I said, the unknown, she comes in and she ties distance-wise. She tied Rhea Coble, who was last year's champion. Rhea's never lost a race over 8 hours. And time wise, Ray was about 2.5 hours ahead of her for the 75 miles, but distance wise, they both finished at 75, which is crazy. I believe Allison Ty finished at 65 or 70 miles. That's why she thought she had it locked up. And then on the men's side, Christopher Mendoza and Trevor Sykos both finished within about 30 minutes of each other. Chris Mendoza passed Trevor on the last lap with about a mile to go.
Wow.
And they both finished at 100 miles.
Jesus Christ.
So the amount of tenacity and grit that it takes to complete this event is insane. There were guys out there that literally all they do at Tough Mudder events is they make it over to Everest, which is a warped wall that is extremely slippery and wet and muddy, and they camp on that obstacle the entire event and help people up. These guys made it to Everest on the first lap and stayed there for 24 hours pulling people up the wall.
Wow.
Even when it was frozen and shut down, they camped up there and waited for it to reopen, helped everybody out. So as she mentioned, the Tough Mudder community is remarkable, and it was a lot of fun. I am considering going back next year. I completed my Holy Grail, which you can actually see behind me, all 3 of my bibs from those. And it's onward and upward. So
good for you. I'm not gonna be nice to you, but to her I will be. Wow. I just don't know what to say when you're talking 75 miles, freezing cold the whole time. You don't dry off. You're running wet.
Yeah, wetsuits and layers that are all you have to keep warm.
That's crazy.
The cool thing too, I want to give a shout out to Spartan Race. They actually did their first ever Spartan para heat this weekend in Laughlin, Nevada. It was an entire heat of amputees and people with disabilities that were on course. And those guys, I mean, there were guys out there with their arms literally, gone at the elbow and doing the monkey bars and doing the walls and doing everything, and total inspiration out there. So congrats to all those that finished as well.
Still crazy. Even without a limb, you're still nuts.
Right. So super cool. Definitely a lot of fun and a lot of inspiration that comes out of that event. So with that being said, though, as promised on social media, it is time now to get back to our regular mumbo jumbo. And we're going to start with the Sacramento Kings, because there are rumors abound right now that the Kings are back to their old ways. I don't know if you saw the story. Yahoo put it out, and there's apparently disgust amongst the front office of the Sacramento Kings. We all know and love who it is, Mr. Vivek Ranadive, who is upset that Marvin Bagley is not being used properly or not being progressed properly, and his minutes are down. And there's rumors that this could be Dave Yeager's pink slip awaiting, delivery at this point. Multiple reports came out refuting that, saying it's not true. But does it shock you at all that a team is playing above expectation? I believe they're 500 right now. They're playing above expectation. They're getting praise from the likes of damn near every coach, including Greg Popovich, who said that he's impressed with the way this team is. Does it surprise you that there's talks that we could have a Mike Malone 2.0 situation in our hands?
Not at all. Not at all. This team doesn't know how to stay out of its own way. And, it's funny. Even though there's been a lot of praise, I still hear people on TV talking about, well, at least at least he's not playing for Sacramento, or at least he's not going to Sacramento, when they're trying to come up with a place not to be. So that still stands out there. And I think it all goes back to the front office and leadership and the ownership. They just don't know. Like I said, they just don't know how to stay out of their own way, and they can't just let things progress. Now, with that being said, I'm not sure that I don't think it's a fireable offense, but I'd sure love to see Bagley get more time and play a little bit more.
Yeah, I would like to see him play too, but the problem is he's on a roller coaster right now. He's not. I don't want to say he's not living up to hype because he is. He's playing well. He's averaging about 15 minutes a game, 12 to 15 minutes a game. He's scoring well. He's rebounding, but he's showing signs of a rookie, and that's expected. But, I think that Jaeger right now is hinging minutes on the hot start of Bielitsa. And although he's not playing as well as he was when he started, you kind of have to give him time to see if this is going to be the trend or if he's going to find his way back, because he has been one of the most productive players on the court, aside from Kosta Koufos at the big man role.
Right. But is 15 to 20 minutes enough time for him? The other question, and this is, I think, part of the article was, are we still in a rebuilding phase? Are we still in a growing phase? Or are we in a win now phase? And I think that's ultimately what the argument between, or what the problem is between front office and coaching staff, that they just don't see eye to eye on that. And I don't, I still say this year is not, it's not important for us to make the playoffs this year. It's important for us to get those guys in a position to next year play up to their ultimate capacity. So I don't know. I'd like to see Bagley play more. He got sent down and played well in Stockton that one game.
That was Giles.
Was that Giles?
Yeah.
Never mind. Maybe that's what needs to happen to him too. Maybe he needs to go down and have a couple of games in the D
People
League.
will lose their shit.
I know.
But here's my question though. People are Vivek, and I'm assuming it's Vivek, and Keith Jogonanis has a theory that it could be Marvin Bagley's dad who's stirring this as the anonymous source, because he's been vocal on social media about the minutes and pulling a very LeVar Ball-esque approach. But how much of this falls on Vivek and Vlade, not Coach Jaeger? How many big men are on this goddamn team?
Yeah, that's
How
true.
do you distribute minutes when you have, see if I can just do it off the top of my head. You have guys that can play the four. You have Willie, Costa, Randolph, Bagley, Bielitsa, Giles. Is there any more than that? I mean, that's 6 of 14. I mean, that's pretty much that's
They
a
can play
quorum.
one position.
You can all play the same position. How do you distribute minutes when you have other guys like Bogey and Buddy and Fox? You have Yogi, Shumpert. There's 11 people. There's 2 more riding the bench somewhere that I can't think of off the top of my head.
What's his face? Shit. The guy who came back after a couple years.
Came back after. Oh, we have Frank Mason.
And TJ.
Regardless, it's who.
Not Papagiannis.
How do you plan on having a coach distribute minutes when you have all big guys? It's like the team a couple years ago when Malone, they had all shooting guards, right? Remember, they couldn't give a shooting. Oh, Macklemore.
Yeah.
They couldn't give a shooting guard away because we had 80 of them. I mean, what do you expect? If the Kings part ways with Coach Jaeger after an 8-8 start, when they, like TJ just said, it's still a rebuilding phase, but they should be much worse than they are.
Much worse?
They should be much worse than they are at this point, given the talent on the roster, the way the roster is built. They should not be an 8-8 team. They're playing above and beyond. At what point do you just let him play and figure things out? I mean, you cannot change things right now and expect them to be any type of progress.
No. And that's been the problem all along, is consistency. And we have none. We've had none. And that was the problem with DeMarcus, is he had in 6 or 7 years, he had 9 coaches? Something ridiculous like that.
It's like Alex Smith.
Yeah.
The perfect example of that is Alex Smith. Look how bad he was in San Francisco. Then he got some continuity in Kansas City with Andy Reid and performed well. And now he's still performing well in Washington.
Right.
You can't have 15 offensive coordinators or 15 coaches in a row and then expect that to work.
No, not at all. And that's the biggest problem with this team since day one, is the lack of consistency. You go back to the days when we were good, the roster stayed similar. There wasn't a lot of turnover. There was no coaching turnover during the whole Adelman period, and that was the most significant time of the Kings' history. So they just need to leave well enough alone and just let this thing play out.
I agree 100%. 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so you have that. And then down in Golden State, there's a lot of turmoil. Actually, no, hold on. One more thing. Kings are 8-8, right?
Yeah.
Right now, there is a lot of talk about this. Aaron Bruschi had an interesting tweet. He said, the league is catching up or merely paying attention. Kings regressing. Strategy has waned from a solid start. How they respond and what type of identity they angle toward, and can they get back to running are key questions. Pivot moment for their trajectory right now. The league is noticing. They are noticing that they need to play. They need to slow the game down. And, that could be something that definitely changes the outcome of this team. But let's take a look at the next 7 games and let's see how this 8-8 record holds up, because right now it's not looking great. Monday they play at home versus Oklahoma City. I think that's a winnable game. They both play fast style of basketball, so that's something that can definitely benefit the Kings. They play at Utah. Utah's not playing the same basketball they were in the beginning of the year.
They got killed the other night.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell, 35 shots, no assists. Let's see how long that stands. If they come off of a win against Oklahoma City, you can see the Kings running Utah out of the building if they can get the speed up. They're at Golden State. We're going to get to Golden State in a second because there's some turmoil going on down there.
No kidding.
I don't think they beat Golden State at Golden State. Then they're home versus Utah, which I think it's a flip-flop game. Whether they win or lose the first one, they're going to win or lose the second. It'll be the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Then they're home versus the Clippers, which is winnable. Home versus Indiana, which I think is winnable. And then at Phoenix, they should win that game as well. Phoenix is one of 2 teams in the Western Conference, well, now 3, because the Kings are 500, that are under 500.
Wow.
Everyone else is above 500 in the West. But this is we talked about it 2 weeks ago. The Kings, they needed that loss against Milwaukee to kind of break their bubble a little bit, see how they respond. Well, now they've lost a couple games. The league's starting to figure them out. It's time to see how they respond. And, it's up to Coach Yeager to get these guys to work. Now, if they end up going on these 7 games, let's say they win 2 of them, they go 2-5. Then the Birds are going to start talking a little bit more about Yeager, because how do these guys respond? And that'll put them at 10-13, 3 games under. If they continue to dip, we know that Vivek is quick-fingered on the trigger to make a change. And what's up, Mark? That worries the hell out of me because that fits Vivek's nature so much.
And I think you just need to go back and look at what your expectations for this team were. Was this team expected to be a 500 team?
No.
So they got off to a good start. Nobody expected them to play the way they're playing. I mean, if you go back to the preseason, that's not how they were playing.
Not at all.
And so, they kind of got a head start. It showed that they're not really where they need to be last night because Houston out-kinged them last night.
And Houston was coming off a big victory against Golden State where they completely killed Golden State as well. So anyone thought that, the Kings would compete.
Well, it could have been a letdown game. It really could have been a letdown game.
Yeah, but they got rid of Carmelo and they're playing great basketball.
Right.
And it's been 2 games, but
for all those people that say, let's sign Carmelo, look at the last couple of teams that he's left. He left Denver at a point where they were playing all right. And back in the day, they traded him to New York. And they went on like a 10 or 12 game winning streak. Houston has gotten rid of them. And now they're playing a completely different brand of basketball. The dude is a cancer.
Oklahoma City's playing better without him.
Yeah, everybody is. So, he's not a player
he's an idiot.
We don't need him here. We don't want him. I saw a whole bunch of posts about signing him. But luckily, I think Kings fans are starting to get a little bit smarter. every time somebody posted that, there were 20 comments.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It's like they have copy and paste ready to go. They're like, no, fuck that.
Right.
One more thing on the Kings. Statement from Jason Jones. He says, tweet from Jason Jones. Statement from General Manager Vlade Divac regarding Dave Yeager's status. Dave is our full support and confidence. We continue to work together, develop our young core, and compete. I'm hoping that Vlade can maintain that and not let Vivek start stepping on his toes. Because remember when Vlade set his 2-year timetable as far as, you know, he needs this team to be competing or he's going to resign. Oscar Zepeda has been running a timer since then, and it's down to 8 days, by the way.
Is it really?
It's 8 days away from that 2-year time frame. And, you know, we'll see what happens, I guess, right?
Well, you know, the whole thing, you know, you got to think about it. If it came from Vivek, if all this stuff came from Vivek, they would have attributed it to Vivek. If it would have come from Vlade, they probably would have attributed it to Vlade. Everything I've seen has been anonymous sources. And that's why when you mention Bagley's dad, it makes a whole lot of sense.
And Keith with that hot take, I'll give Keith all the credit in the world for that one because he likes to look for absurd things to dig up, and this one actually makes sense. So
good job.
I'll give Keith credit on that one if it does turn out to be true.
You know, and just finishing up on that, this team has never been afraid of a headline. And this team is in management in the front office has never seen a headline.
Sorry, Oscar, it's not until February. My bad.
They've never seen a headline they don't like, and so they're not going to run away and start using anonymous sources. So, you know, credibility. Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
We have Scal too. Someone else just mentioned that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Scal's on this roster too. That's another big man. So that means there's still one more player that we're forgetting. That because with this we had 11, so there's 12. You got McLemore, and McLemore. There's 13, so there's one more floating around somewhere that we forgot about. It's I don't know. It's ridiculous. We'll definitely wait and see. We mentioned Golden State and their turmoil. KD and not that anyone gives a shit about Golden State. We'll get through it real quick. KD and Draymond are having issues. Draymond told KD that they don't need him here and he can fucking leave and he's a bitch and all this other stuff. It's funny that, you know, Draymond's been battling a toe injury and all of a sudden, Dwayne Coswell, all of a sudden now Draymond is taking time away from the team to rest his toe, per Steve Kerr. I'm thinking that's more of a disciplinary, hey, you need to get the hell away. Oh, Gabriel. Oh, and then there's that other dude. Oh, Justin Jackson. There's the other guy that sucks up minutes for no goddamn reason. And Troy Williams. So there's a whole bunch of guys. Apparently there's a 15-man roster.
Yeah.
People, when it's all said and done with Golden State, I'm wondering with Draymond Howe having issues, I'm wondering if DeMarcus is getting closer to coming back and they're going to allow Draymond to rest and do whatever he needs to do for his foot if he really is hurt and see how DeMarcus mends with this team before they make some decisions on rotations and things like that.
They have to. But, you know, it's funny and little conspiracy theory going on in my head now. Draymond's been pretty good the last 4 or 5 years. Hasn't really spoke up. Who joined the team this year?
I'm not putting this on DeMarcus.
Why not?
Because everyone that
come on, that's fun though.
No, because I'm putting it on KD. Every team that Durant has played for, there's been beef after a couple years. He was like remember we talked about it a couple years ago, the Jim Harbaugh thing. He comes in and everything's fantastic, and then after a couple years he starts weighing down everybody, and then issues start. Happened in Stanford, happened in San Francisco. That's happening with Durant everywhere he plays as well.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't be surprised if that's just his nature, and it eats away at teams. One thing I'm surprised, and you know, like you said, Kings fans are progressing. Nobody's mentioned, hey, should we go after Draymond? Should we try to trade for Draymond?
I saw a couple people say it, but nothing.
I would do it personally. I think Draymond would bring some grit to this young team and teach some of these guys like Bagley and whatever to play tougher ball and slow down a little bit and not have to be out of control.
But is he not just a better teammate, but same type of player as DeMarcus was, attitude-wise and all about me? I mean, those guys are 1-2 every year in technicals.
I'll take it back to what a lot of people defended DeMarcus on. is it passion or is it just him? Because DeMarcus always gets the knock that he's just a baby and a diva and whatever, and then Draymond gets the passion. Is it because he wins championships?
Yeah, absolutely.
Draymond will sign with the Hornets next year. That's an interesting take from TJ.
Yeah. I think if DeMarcus, and we've talked about this, if the Kings are winning 50, 60 games a year, we'll put up with DeMarcus all day long. It's the problem is they were winning 17 to 23 games a year,
right,
and all that shit going on. If Draymond's on a losing team, that stuff's not going to fly. I mean, it's the same thing, only in a different situation. So I don't want Draymond here. I mean, he would do well on the court, but it's just having DeMarcus here all over again.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's pay some bills. I almost hit end broadcast. That would have been bad. Hey guys, I'm excited to announce a new partnership with Antonio Pacheco from Folsom Lake Ford. Tony has been my go-to sales guy for a number of years, and he's come on board to bring the awesome sales buying experience to each and every one of you. All of his information is on our website at sportstalk916.com, but if you're in a hurry and you're looking for a new car, give him a call today. Antonio Pacheco, area code 530-218-7069. He will answer all of your questions in regards to the car buying experience, and he is the main guy that I trust in the Sacramento area for all of your car buying needs. Again, Antonio Pacheco, Folsom Lake Ford, 530-218-7069. That's right, Tony Pacheco. Call him; he will help you out. And it's Ford and Kia, by the way. So if you're looking for a Kia or you're looking for a used car, Tony can help you out in multiple facets of the game. So let's talk a little bit about the San Francisco 49ers. So they hired Farhan Zaidi.
No, it's the Giants.
What did I say?
49ers.
I'm dumb.
I'll say it.
I'll say it. He's an idiot.
The San Francisco Giants hire Farhan Zaidi from the general manager office of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's going to come in and be the new GM and head of baseball operations for the Giants. And this happened right on the cusp of general manager meetings that we talked about a couple weeks ago that the Giants didn't have a GM representation for. And he came in and he basically laid it out on the line that, we need to shake things up and nothing is off the table. And
everybody's on the block. Nobody's safe.
The 49ers are signing Bryce Harper. Exactly. I'm not sure if he's the one that signed Kershaw right before he took this deal with the Giants. That would be a great way to kind of stick it to his former team before he leaves and hurt his new rival. But reports came out of the San Francisco Chronicle and multiple Bay Area news reports this week that it's been made aware to the Major League Baseball general managers that Madison Bumgarner is available via trade. He has a large contract still for this last year. And the Giants just picked up his option. I believe it's $19 million this year, or $15 million this year, and makes him available. I'm wondering if, and I've talked about it multiple times, but if there could be something in the works that says, "Hey, we're going to move you. We're going to get some prospects, and then come back." Because I know Bumgarner doesn't want to leave San Francisco. He wants to be a Giant for his entire career. I wonder if that weighs on the possibility of Bumgarner getting traded to like the Yankees or somewhere that has a deep wealth of prospects, and then he just comes back and signs with the Giants and end his career. Zaidi is known for making big deals. It helps that the Giants front office is willing to open up the checkbook because he's not shy of spending money. And it's right on the cusp of lots of talks that Bryce Harper is on a short list of teams for his services, that San Francisco is one of those teams. So what do you think of the news that Bumgarner is possibly available? And could you imagine Bumgarner without a beard? The no beard rule in New York. What do you
have
think?
A no snot rocket rule?
They should. Major League Baseball should have a no snot rocket rule. What do you think about?
I've been on record saying that I don't like the idea of trading him. The only way is if you have that handshake agreement that says we're re-signing you next year, because I kind of went back and looked at some of the big trades. And the one that really stands out to me is the Verlander trade from where Detroit to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
What's Detroit done since they traded him?
Nothing.
What's Houston done?
They won a World Series.
And they made it to ALC or the AL Championship Series last year.
Right.
Those trades don't work out for the team that trades away the ace. You don't find an ace. It's not like you can go to the pitcher's ace tree and pick up an ace starting pitcher. It just doesn't work.
You just said ace 5 times in one sentence.
I know. I'm getting a little excited about this. So when the 49ers trade Baumgartner away.
Right, when the 49ers trade him. Thanks, Oscar.
I just don't think it's a good idea unless for some reason there's that agreement that says, hey, we'll get you back next year, but I wouldn't trust that. So I think there's other ways to build that you can do instead of trading somebody like Baumgartner away who they just don't come along that often.
Well, let me ask you this then. If Baumgartner is available via trade and you say no, would you if you could only designate one player to be non-tradable on this entire roster, would you choose Baumgartner?
Yes.
Over Posey or Crawford or anyone else?
Yes. I would say for me.
Let me change this real quick. What if Buster Posey agreed to move to first base for the rest of his career and forego catching? Would you still designate Madison Bumgarner as the only non-tradable piece?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Josh, we have not done football picks yet. We will be doing those momentarily.
Again, it's that you don't see that level of pitcher come along very often.
But is he still that level of pitcher?
Yes. I mean, he hasn't had 2 full seasons.
True.
He's been hurt both years and came back, and probably knowing him came back early.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Spring training, he was lights out this last year. And then all of a sudden we got he had the line drive off his finger and broke that, and that just messed everything up. So I don't know that he was healthy. At this point right now, I just lost my – there we go. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. At this point right now, Posey is nothing but he's barely a 300 hitter. He's a catching is defensive. I might sound this all off. In the field, he's the best catcher in the Major League Baseball, but that's not going to last very long. He's an above average, low level all-star player right now. For me, if I'm going to rank the players that are untradeable, Baumgartner's first, Crawford's second, and Buster's third.
Really?
Yes. I think you have to save your defense up the middle. Buster's not going to be able to catch very much longer. Is he going to really want to move to first base? I don't know. If he did, that would move him up a little bit in my eyes. But to me, I just don't see you trading Baumgartner. You have the money to spend. Really, this team is.
TJ just hit the nail on the head. Sorry, finish your thought, and then we'll.
That's right. That. This team is really 3 positions away from being back to being a contender.
Right.
Right field, left field, and center field.
You know what, though? I think Duggar's fine in center field. I think left field and right field are going to be the 2 that you really need to address. Mac Williamson cannot be your left fielder.
No.
Gorky's, after last year, has a potential to be your left fielder. But, with Pence ultimately out the door, I don't see – I still think deep down that Pence somehow convinces the Giants to give him like a 1 or 2 year vet minimum deal where he can just be the locker room guy and be that platoon, every now and again pinch hit guy, kind of like Pablo Sandoval is going to be for the team this year, because the Giants just picked up Pablo's option, which I love. I love the fact that they're keeping Pablo around. But TJ just said Posey needs to hit 6th or 7th. Your cleanup hitter should not have 5 home runs.
No.
You just maybe lose my headphones.
I don't have headphones at all. Yeah,
you don't need to hear anything except for me. You're sitting right next to me.
I know.
So what do you think about the idea of going after Harper, though? Because the reports are Harper turned down a 10-year, $400 million, $300 million deal with Washington. The Cubs are in talks with them. Apparently, the Giants, the Cardinals are the top 3 teams that are after Bryce Harper's services.
And Bryce Harper's agent came out and said that San Francisco is one of his top choices because he loves playing here. He loves the passion. He loves the fans. He loves he just loves being in San Francisco, and it's close to home for him. Does he take a discount? Does he need to take a discount? The Giants have pretty much come out and already said that they're going to open the checkbook if they need to sign him. Yeah. The Giants have the money. We talk about it every year. Those damn condos are finally open. Right.
They have the revenue coming in. Other ownership outside of Bear have come out and said we need to open the book and get that next franchise guy.
But Zaidi hasn't been one to sign big name players like that.
Maybe he's ready to. Maybe that's his selling point is like, hey, I can go out and get those guys. I find it hard to believe. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say we need a right fielder, right?
Yeah.
The Cubs are in the services right now for Bryce Harper. What if
I like where you're going.
They currently have Jason Hayward under contract for the next 5 years?
That would be a great pickup.
Could you trade for Jason Hayward, pick up the rest of his deal?
Yeah.
That way the Cubs sign Harper, and then you have Jason Hayward roaming right field at AT&T Park?
I'd take that. I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Would you take that over the idea of signing Bryce Harper?
No.
But as a plan B?
As a plan B, yeah, absolutely.
It shall be interesting. Remember, the Giants still have a lot of holes to fill. They have to figure out what's going to happen with Cueto. They have to figure out if Samardzija is going to have an arm anymore. Panic's back. The infield is solid, even with Longoria at third base, with Pablo platooning behind him. You have the infield.
Defensively.
Joey Bart is still waiting in the wings. He's ready to come up and catch, which
I don't think he's ready to come up and catch.
No, he's ready. I'm saying, like, he's chomping at the bit. I think he'll be in Sacramento this next season.
I think so, which will be fun.
And can you groom? Can you get Posey to first and put Brandon Belt in left? Would Belt be a serviceable left fielder? Because if you think about it, back in the day when Bonds was at the end of his career, he was terrible in left field, but they needed his bat in the lineup, so they left him out there.
But when you're hitting 65 home runs every year.
Exactly, but do you think Belt can live in left and learn to hit and maybe not get hurt with all the stretching and all the other crap he does over at first base and, maybe have some pressure off of him?
I think Belt would be a great fourth outfielder.
You can't put Belt on the bench, though. I mean, unless...
Yeah, but if you're playing him, he's still going to play 4 out of 6 games.
Just leave him at kind of do what Posey does on his off day. You move Posey to first and you move Belt to left,
or have him switch between left and right.
I don't think Belt can play right field. Not at AT&T Park. Maybe on the road you have him play right field, but then you're relegating him to learning different ballparks on the fly.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're playing in a very standard ballpark that just fits normal, but crazy. A's 2 Gold Glovers. I don't remember which 2 it were, but they we have not talked about the Browns yet, TJ. 2 Gold Glovers on the infield for the A's. Every single player was nominated. Bob Melvin got Manager of the Year, which I think is very well deserved. Now if they can just get a damn stadium.
Yeah. Did you see the news yesterday that the Yankees are talking about a Sonny Gray trade back to Oakland?
That'd be interesting. Let's do this first.
If you or anyone you know is thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, they deserve to have someone working with them that not only knows what they're doing, but will explain everything that happens along the way. That person would be me, Coach Greg Veroza of Keller Williams Realty. I have 2 goals. My first goal is to coach you through the buying and selling process, making it easy to understand and as stress-free as possible, which isn't easy sometimes. My second goal is to have fun doing it. Come be a part of my team. Let me coach you or anyone you know through the real estate process. Give me a call at 916-241-8068, and let's talk about how I can coach you through the real estate process. Let me ask you one question. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I should know right now? Again, that's Greg Veroza, Keller Williams Realty, 916-241-8068.
God damn, that gets so loud every week.
I know it does.
Chapman for the A's got Gold Glove and Best Defensive Player of the Year, not just Gold Glove. That's pretty awesome. Football talk. Let's talk about the NFL. So lots of rumblings. Le'Veon Bell did not report.
I wasted a second round pick on him, or second pick.
Reports came out that they were negotiating up into the deadline to bring him back. The Steelers would not promise him that they would not franchise or transition tag him next year like he wanted. So he ultimately didn't sign and foregoes $14.9 million for the rest of the season. The Browns, why do I keep saying the fucking Browns? The Steelers can transition tag him next year, which will basically protect him at $9.6 million. They can negotiate, or they can match other offers with whatever he gets. And I think that would actually be the best thing for him, because teams are going to offer more than $9.6 million for Le'Veon Bell's services next year, right? Which means the Steelers probably won't match it, and then he'll be gone with compensation picks.
What they'll probably do is sign and trade him.
They may.
I think that's what they'll do.
And then if they don't sign him?
They get a
$14.9 million credit because his franchise tag impacted their salary cap this year. So if he leaves, they get a $14.9 million boost to their salary cap next year, which will help because they've been the number 2 team squeezing the salary cap for the last couple of years anyways. So that'll be good for Steelers fans.
And did they get a draft pick too?
I don't think. Only if they transition tag him and he leaves. Okay. Otherwise, he leaves. He's unrestricted at this point. The Jaguars, who are in Pittsburgh today, there's a lot of talk that Jalen Ramsey may be available for trade next year because he's wearing out his welcome, which should be interesting. Back to Le'Veon Bell, the 2 teams right now that are rumored or assumed to have the most interest in his services are the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Jets.
Really? And there's another team I heard too. The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, they don't have a running back, so that would be good for them there. The Niners would be interesting though, because you already have McKinnon signed to a big deal. Breida fits the mold of a McKinnon 1-2 punch that Shanahan wants. Does McKinnon have any value coming off a knee that if you sign Bell, you can get rid of him? Or is that your 1-2 punch?
That's your 1-2 punch.
McKinnon, Bell, and have all your money wrapped up in a quarterback and 2 running backs?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how much of McKinnon's contract is guaranteed.
Yeah. Can you trade for Odell Beckham?
Oh, why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you do that?
Because he's a cancer. He's a cancer.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Do you trade Jimmy Garoppolo and let I messed it up. I can't even think of the goddamn guy's name. Who's our quarterback right now?
Oh, Mullins?
Yeah, Nick Mullins. Do you let Big Dick Nick be your fucking
no
starting quarterback going forward? No, he's looked good though, but definitely not.
You know, McKinnon might have some trade value. I mean, you're not going to get more than probably a 3rd rounder for him or a 4th rounder.
The Niners could use more picks. They don't have a 6 or 7, so let's get some picks going. Other NFL news: the Cleveland Browns. TJ, you wanted to talk about the Browns. The Cleveland Browns are interested apparently in interviewing Condoleezza Rice for their head coaching position.
They are the Sacramento Kings of the NFL, aren't they?
She's a lifelong Browns fan. She's the former Secretary of Defense. She's been
Secretary of State.
She's been entrenched in Stanford football since she left office in 2009 under George W. Bush.
She's been a member of the college football committee.
Selection committee. She helped the NCAA basketball get rid of one and dones. She knows her sports, but will NFL teams respect her as the number one? I mean, maybe she would be one of the few females that can command respect, but do you really take a flyer on her being an NFL head coach? I mean, is that not the most Brown thing to do?
Yeah. I mean, I could see general manager. I could see something in the front office.
And that's the talk, is they may interview her to see what her vision is and then offer, if she doesn't get the head coaching job, then she may be able to take a front office position with that.
I mean, I think she'd be a valuable asset, just talking some sense into those guys,
right?
Because she's brilliant. I mean, she's an amazing person. But just such a ridiculous thing to put her in. Even think about that.
Do you have any early predictions or any early recommendation or ideas on who the Browns may hire for their head coach?
I think they might go college. I can see Mayfield's college coach.
That's who I was just looking up what his name was. Lon Kruger from no, that's basketball.
The basketball coach.
Just kidding.
No, why can't I think it?
Not Cliff Kingsbury. No, he
no.
left. Lincoln Riley.
I could see.
Does he leave Oklahoma to go to fucking Cleveland?
Yeah, but he's back with Mayfield, and maybe they can resurrect the magic that they had in college. That's the pick I like. I think there's a couple other college coaches that would be ready to move on. And they'll come up with somebody bad. They'll make the wrong decision.
Remember that prediction I made earlier in the year that John Harbaugh is going to replace
that's another one.
Urban Meyer at Ohio State? Well, Harbaugh's rumored to be mutually parting ways at the end of the season with the Baltimore Ravens. I can easily still see my prediction of Ohio State hiring John Harbaugh to boost the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry.
I could also
have the Harbaugh every year to go along with their typical rival game. I
could also see Harbaugh going to Cleveland too.
I could see Harbaugh going to Cleveland. Does anyone really want the Cleveland Browns job? I mean, other than the fact that it's a very illustrious one of 30 jobs or 32 jobs in the NFL. Yeah,
but you have to think like a coach, and you have to think about somebody that's got a big ego. And
so is Chip Kelly going to leave? Is Chip Kelly going to leave UCLA and go to Cleveland
after going 0-11 or 1-11 at UCLA? No, but all of these guys, they have egos the size of a stadium.
That's true.
And for them to come in and go, I was the one that turned Cleveland around. I was the one.
That's why I thought Bill Belichick was the perfect.
He's already been there and done that.
I can see though. I can see the Browns.
He's already been there. He's already been there.
I can see the Browns going, dude, we're going to give you $600 million and ownership and come save us. But I think Harbaugh would do really well in Cleveland. That's if he wants to coach anymore. Why would you mutually leave a team you've been with for like 15 years?
Because there's a point where your voice just quits getting heard.
Maybe. And I mean, they did bring in Michael Crabtree, so that could be a problem. Right. Joe Flacco's out today.
So today on ESPN, they showed Joe Flacco, who's not playing today, by the way.
I just said that.
I know. I don't pay attention to what you say half the time anyway.
I hear doggies. Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. They showed him walking into the stadium today,
right?
And he couldn't have taken longer to get out of the parking lot. He was just strolling along, and he had to go through security. He had to go through
like a pat down service.
Yeah, through the thing
detectors.
Yeah, and then the guy that's playing today for the quarterback,
Jackson
had to do the same thing, but there were 5 people ahead of him in line.
Jesus,
they were all fans. It was great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, the Jackson era potentially starts today in Baltimore. Do you think that my prediction that Joe Flacco could be the next quarterback of your Oakland Raiders
I think it's a great prediction.
Be the prediction that comes to fruition?
Gruden would love. He fits the mold of a Gruden quarterback.
He does.
I mean, he is a Gruden quarterback. He's the textbook Gruden quarterback.
He's old. He's kind of washed up.
He's not a big play. I mean, big play's not the right way to say it. He's not a front center. Threat. He's not going to be the diva quarterback that some of these guys are. He's not going to be an Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He's going to be a good game manager with a good arm, with some experience, but he's got Gruden written all over him. It would not surprise me one bit if he's playing in Las Vegas next year.
Well, they won't be in Las Vegas next year.
No, you never know.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to get back in the presidential race. But you never know. I could be swayed. America needs me. Okay, now it's time for the most luxurious, amazing, incredible picks in the world. Mine. I'll take the Ravens to top the Bengals, even though that doesn't make sense because cats eat birds. I'll also take the Rams to beat the Seahawks, but who really cares? My upset pick is the Eagles to beat the Giants, and my wild card is the Bills to sink the Dolphins.
All right, boys, you heard his picks. Now it's your turn. Greg B, who you got? All right, so we need to go back 2 weeks because one of us went undefeated in their picks. But now I'm looking at it, and it looks like you went undefeated the week prior.
No, I think there were 14.
There were 14 games that week.
Games.
Okay, well, I went undefeated last week, and then 2 weeks ago. Then I followed that up with 7 right the following week, which is funny because the week you went with 13, you followed it up with 6.
Yeah.
So clearly, it's not the way to go. Travis, TJ, you've taken the lead over James. You are now in first place in our year-to-date pick'em at 99 wins. James Hines, 97. Greg Rose is right on their tail at 95. I'm rounding out the top 4 at 90, and then it's 64 at the next one.
Wait a minute. You just blew your mom off by just saying, "Oh yeah, 64."
Yeah, 64, Mom. Sorry.
Wow.
This week didn't start off so well for me. I took Green Bay to beat Seattle in Seattle. They lost 24-27.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see. Let's go down the list. The Tennessee Titans traveled to the Indianapolis Colts.
I got the Titans.
So do I. What the fuck? My app just crashed. The Steelers traveled to Jacksonville. 0-0 in the first quarter.
And I got the Steelers.
So do I. The Ravens. I really wish I could have changed this pick since they don't have Flacco starting. I have the Ravens beating the Bengals.
I think it's gonna be a whole new offensive system today. So I have the Ravens too.
I have the Falcons 4-5 beating the Cowboys, who are also 4-5.
Yep.
I have the Texans continuing their winning streak, beating Washington.
Yep.
I have the Panthers continuing their winning streak, beating Detroit.
Yep.
The Giants are up currently 7-0 on the Buccaneers. I have the Buccaneers winning that game.
I got the Giants.
I have the 2-7 Cardinals beating the 1-8 Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
7-2 Chargers. They're getting Joey Bosa back today against the Broncos. I have the Chargers winning that game.
Yep.
And I also will make a bold prediction right now that the LA Chargers will be representing the AFC in this year's Super Bowl.
Wow. No, I don't like that pick at all.
Saints over the Eagles.
Yep.
Bears over the Vikings.
Yep, I got the Vikings.
And I have the Rams over the Kansas City Chiefs. Battles of 9-1.
I got the Chiefs. So we only have 3 games
and I'm
difference.
actually changing my Chiefs pick because that's not the pick I wanted. I think Mahomes, now that it's back in LA, I think he's going to show up and show out. Even if he puts ketchup on his damn steak.
Oh, I know.
I'm good with that. Whatever. Sometimes a steak doesn't have the right seasoning. You got to flavor it up.
No. And you probably like it well done, too, don't you?
What's that? No, fuck no. It needs to be bloody.
By the way, did you stop Trump yesterday up in Paradise to have him record that little clip?
Yeah, I just reached out. I said, hey, we do a podcast, and we need to make our NFL picks great again. And
cats eat birds.
And cats eat birds. So there you go. The NFL, man, the Niners are on a bye this week, so it's kind of not fun for us, at least. Cam Newton just touchdown to Greg Olsen. So there's a live score for you right there. What am I looking for?
Yeah, Josh Cooper's out. Cup's out for the rest of the year. So
yeah, Cup gone. ACL. That one was nasty.
But they have plenty of weapons.
They do. Do I have this on here?
What are you looking for?
Do I really not have that soundbite?
Which one?
What? Motherfucker, I don't. Just talk. Let's talk.
It's not you didn't lose a fucking punter, did you?
Fuck no, I didn't lose a fucking punter. I'll never lose that one.
Okay. Yeah, this week's going to be fun. I haven't looked forward to a Monday night game in a long time.
Oh, the Monday night games would be fantastic.
Yeah. It's going to be the last team that scores wins because neither one of the teams can play defense, which is really surprising for the Rams, but they have no secondary and their linebackers are weak. But once you get past the defensive line, which can't stop the run, you're good. So that's my only fear in Kansas City's game this weekend with Mahomes on my fantasy roster is they're going to run.
Yeah, I have Mahomes as well. So oddly enough, I rebooted. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I rebooted the Sports Talk 916 Instagram page. kind of a way to branch out to another audience, doing just kind of like headline posts and different things like that. We can announce our podcast, different things. And there was a special request by a Brad Christensen on Instagram, who used to be one of our major Twitter followers. Obviously, we've kind of gone away from the Twitter aspect because everybody's on Twitter. And
that's a great reason to get off of Twitter,
right,
because
everybody's on Twitter. He requested that we give a preview for WWE Survivor Series.
Brock Lesnar.
No, it's gonna be a terrible Survivor Series. All the big names are kind of out. It's Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. It should have been Lesnar versus AJ Styles. I don't know why they're trying to turn Brock Lesnar into a face and make Daniel Bryan the heel in this match. Becky Lynch, who is the only good thing going for WWE right now, took a stiff punch from The Rock's cousin, Nia Jax. Like, literally, she did not pull back on the punch. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but broke Becky Lynch's nose and her orbital bone.
Oh, shit.
She's fucked up. She's out. So it's Charlotte Flair now versus Ronda Rousey.
Flair's daughter?
Yeah. Versus Ronda Rousey in this match. Becky Lynch literally is the Stone Cold Steve Austin 2.0 on the women's side. They're letting her do whatever the hell she wants, scream at whoever the hell she wants. It's been amazing. But we're not going to get too much into WWE. Maybe I'll do a secondary podcast this week to recap it if it's any good. I can't imagine that it's going to be very good, though.
Is that today?
It is today. Let's see. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other headlines? Any other sports stories that you've been following or interested in?
Really, it's you don't follow college football very much, and that's starting to get crazy.
Colorado just fired their coach.
Yeah, I saw that. UC Davis killed Sac State.
What was the final score of that game yesterday?
Like 56-13.
When I heard it was like third quarter. It was like 34-4 or something like that. And then all of my sports radio yesterday, 11:40 had Marsh doing the UC Davis call. 13:20 had Jason Ross on the Sac State call. I'm like, can I get some other sports, please, other than these two?
Oh, I was listening to KMBR, and they had the Notre Dame Syracuse game on. And it was the Notre Dame home radio crew.
Out here?
Yeah, because KMBR's got a bunch of guys that are Notre Dame guys.
Gotcha.
And talk about homers. These guys were talking about lighting up victory cigars at the end of the game and the 3 steps to how you light a victory cigar.
Really?
Oh, it was the worst homer that I've ever seen. And every time I probably listened for 15 minutes just because it was so bad. Every time Notre Dame scored, the color guy was just going crazy, screaming and yelling and rooting. And there was absolutely no hiding the fact that these guys were Notre Dame homers.
So remember we talked about Kings fans growing up and understanding things?
Wow.
This post an hour ago on the Kingdom, I want Justin Jackson's dad, Dave Yeager, gone. Fast, not slow. Hopefully Vladdy was lying about supporting this fool. And the first text I see is from Vegas Ron, who's checked in a few times from us. I need you to be gone. Fucking fantastic. It's gonna be fun for apparently Madden needs to get off the crack. So right. Madden does a prediction every week. We should have put Madden in our pick'em. That would have been fun to go up against the Madden simulations. They have Oakland beating Arizona 38-21 today. Apparently, Oakland's not
going to score 38 points the rest of the season.
I don't know that Oakland scored 38 points this season. They have Detroit winning 28-7 over Carolina. They have 38 for Atlanta. Tampa Bay winning 17-0. That's already impossible because New York's already up 7-0. They only have the Saints scoring 13 points total. This is good Lord, that's embarrassing. Yeah, that's pretty much what we've got. How are we looking for next week? We're on the weekend following Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I might have a request for you though.
What's that?
I might need some help moving.
Need some help moving?
Yeah.
Are you moving?
Yeah.
Are you moving into the new getting the hell out of there? Family staying longer?
See ya. No, it's done.
Oh, nice.
It's done.
I might need some help moving soon too, hopefully.
Yeah, right.
We can get that ball rolling.
One other thing there, reporting again. I'm a little bit more widespread on my sports. Did you hear about Jesuit High School?
No.
So they were a factor in the high school playoffs. Beat their first round team 56-0 or something like that. Apparently, in their first 2 playoff games, they played a ineligible player.
Ooh.
Forfeit. See ya. Out. Oak Ridge goes straight to the section championship game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Talk about a boost in the pants for them. They get beat, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're playing."
Yeah. No. They were on the other side of the bracket.
I got you.
They were going to play the winner of Jesuit in whatever game whoever they were playing.
So Jesuit wins.
Jesuit won their first 2 round games, first 2 playoff round games.
Okay.
Then they found out that they were playing, and they self-reported. They self-reported that they had an ineligible player.
But does that mean the other 2 games, even though those other teams lost, they're still counted as losses in those other brackets? And then
they're done.
So going forward, whatever they have is just a forfeit.
Yeah. So
how does that make those other 2 teams feel?
I know.
You got your ass kicked. Like, can we get a redo?
And I looked at the bracket and the final score. So Jesuit gets or Oak Ridge got a bye going into the championship game with a 1-0 victory over Jesuit.
How do you score 1-0?
That's the forfeit.
Oh, that's the forfeit score?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't give them 3?
No, it's 1-0.
That's awesome. So fun thing, we've talked about him a few times before. It's another podcast out of Atlanta. It's Obstacle Racing Media Podcast. Matt B. Davis has been on our show before. I sat down with Matt B. Davis talking about World's Toughest Mudder before the event. And if you listen, he asked me a bunch of questions about the race, about sports, about Sacramento. And if you listen closely on there, you can hear me nationally call Chris Webber a dick. He asked me if I was around for the Chris Webber days and, all this other stuff. He says, "What's your thoughts on Chris Webber?" And my response was, well, he was kind of a dick the way he treated Sacramento at first, but, he made up for it. So, he was still one of my favorite players. So there's that. I kind of went out there on a limb with that one, but
just a little one.
Just a little bit. But yeah, we'll try to have a show next week. Everything should be good. If not, if we're both in food comas or if my wife has the baby, obviously that's going to change.
That's right. Are you on baby watch now?
We are officially on baby watch. Baby was breached until last week. They went in and flipped her, which was weird as hell.
I don't even want to hear about it.
Oh, it's simple. Basically, they give her a medicine that like calms down her uterus, they call it, so it makes it less stringent, like tight around the baby. And the doctor literally like put like lotion or something all over my wife's stomach so it was slippery, and grabbed the baby from the outside and just flipped her over inside the belly. And now she's head down and she's ready to go. So we're officially on baby watch. She is 37 weeks, wow. 37 and a half weeks now. She'll be 38 weeks the day before Thanksgiving. And so unless there's a baby or we're in the hospital, hell, I'll bring this stuff to the hospital and we can do it remotely. I don't care.
There you go.
We'll do
Not
it.
Like you're going to be doing anything in the hospital.
Right. I'll just be sitting there anyways. Right. Yeah. So, for everybody here, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We won't see you before the holiday. Eat lots of food. Don't do anything stupid. If you go out on Black Friday shopping, please be careful.
And by the way, I figured out what my price is to not go to Black Friday.
What's that?
So I went to Kohl's yesterday. I had to get something. It was on sale for I got it for $155 or something like that. Black Friday would have been $99. And so I said, well, how many people are going to be here? She said, well, the line was out the door and around the building all the way around.
So $55 is your price?
$55 is my price not to go to Black Friday.
Perfect. So if you're out and about and you have, let's say you set a budget, TJ, this was for you. Let's say you set a budget for $500 and you come in at $485, right? We'll take gift cards for the show. If you guys want to donate, or if you want to, I'll set up a Venmo or a Cash App account for the show. If you guys want to make some Black Friday Christmas donations, so we can up the ante on what we're providing here.
And we'll start figuring out things to whore out too. I mean, we whored out the Mortgage King guest line.
Right.
We can figure out something else we can have the TJ soundboard.
Yeah, the TJ Longacre soundboard.
This is stupid. I want to talk about vaginas.
Like we can have TJ record something and be like, like his wow or something. Like it'd be like an Owen wow. But yeah, we'll do something. So yeah, so have a happy Thanksgiving, guys. Yep. We will be back next week.
Be safe.
big thank you to World's Toughest Mudder second place finisher Erin Rost for joining us this morning.
How do you mispronounce her name?
I don't know.
That's the dumbest thing
To
I've
be
heard.
fair, the MC of World's Toughest Mudder was terrible. He was a hired guy. He knew nothing about OCR. He knew nothing about the community. They brought
Obviously
him in
didn't know how to pronounce
They
words.
brought him in as a hype guy so that he would be able to fill in for Clinton and Sean, who are the best MCs for obstacle course race. I mean, they may be one of the best MCs, period. Sorry, Scott Freshour. For long, continuous, Scott's the best at what he does when it comes to, segments and things like that they do. But for long, ongoing, continuous.
That's got to be a tough gig to do for 24 hours straight.
In the cold, 27 degrees. These guys did great, but the guy that they hired was a joke. But so yeah, if you're listening to this and you completed World's Toughest Mudder, congratulations. You are one of 0.04% of people on the planet who even attempted the race. So if you got your headband or you got your Holy Grail, congratulations to all of you. Again, big thanks to Erin Ross. And for Greg Veroza, I'm Greg Bowl. We will be back next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Peace.